You're watching Voiceover. How did you do it? At voiceoverpodcast.com, where we talk to seasoned, successful voice actors to find out how they did it. I'm your host, Ian Kleinfeld, and you can find me at voicebyian.com. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at voicebyian. Hi, J. Michael. How are you?
I'm wonderful, Ian. How are you today?
Doing well. Thank you. Just had yesterday off, have today on. So just
Another
going
day in
through the day.
paradise, right?
Yeah. So tell us about these awards, man.
Oh, those are Voice Arts Awards, which are, we like to think, at least kind of the Oscars of the voiceover world, and have been running for the better part of a decade now. And as you can see, subtly displayed back there. Subtly, right?
I barely noticed them.
Now, they've kind of become the industry standard awards for the voiceover industry, and I'm proud to have had a pretty good run, both as a voice actor, demo producer, and copywriter and casting director, I think, over the last 5 or 6 years.
Is there anything you don't do?
I exercise.
Very nice. So what's your website?
jmcvoiceover.com.
Okay. So if you guys are looking for voiceovers, if you're looking for a coach, if you're looking for a demo, that's a good place to go.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So what are you in the middle of now?
I'm in the middle of we've got a few different things in the inbox at the moment. Got a long form e-learning narration. I've got a 60-second commercial, and what was this other thing that just came? Corporate narration, it looks like, at the moment. So that's what I'll be doing when I'm off with you.
Okay. And generally speaking, what would you say is your kind of biggest thing that you do?
It's a mix. I mean, I think if we're talking about, profile and income, it's certainly still commercial. What's consuming the most of my physical time, probably e-learning and medical narration and corporate narration. Good mix of that.
All right. Excellent. And what were you doing before you got into voiceover?
I was in college.
So the way to get into voiceover is go to college and then get into voiceover.
Get a political science degree that you'll never use a day in your life.
Oh, I have the same degree.
Hey, there you go. No, actually, I started in radio when I was 15, and actually younger as an intern, but 15 had my first show sort of just by dint of nepotism and good fortune and family connections. And that actually, I was hoping, my dream when I was younger was always to have a radio career. I wanted to be a shock jock. I used to intern for a couple of guys who did that kind of stuff. I thought it was hilarious. And turned out, as I got into it, was first show was actually Bloomberg Information Radio, so it was business news, mostly just reading copy off the wire. But I started doing VOs for station clients, and that paid a lot more than the ridiculous wages that they were giving me to be on the air. Right. And so over time, that just kind of took over from radio. And by the time I left college, I was making a modest but legitimate living, and had the chance to go to law school, and decided to give VO a shot instead. And my family thought I was nuts, but there you go. So
what do they think now?
They still think I'm nuts, but probably less so after doing this professionally for 25 years.
Yeah. Nice. Oh, I got to change the view here.
No worries.
There we go. Ta-da. Okay, now we're side by side. That's better for the video.
Yeah, well, as long as we're socially distanced at the moment, that's all that matters. So,
anyway, so you just kind of transitioned into voiceover from the radio, and when did you sort of make it, to the level that you're at now?
Well, it's funny, and I think I get asked for advice a lot about what new talent should be doing. And I think if there's one piece of advice I take away from my career, it's treat this more seriously as a business early. And what I mean by that is I'm a bit of a unique animal in that I came up kind of in the old school world of VO with agents and their brick and mortar, and that's how I started. But I was also a very early adopter of the DIY new school of VO. And if I had known how much opportunity there was to go out and do things on your own and to hustle and to really drive your own business forward, I'd be retired right now. Because the first 10 years of my career, I lived on a golf course. I played, 5 or 6 rounds a week while working 10 hours a week, just going in and auditioning, and then would book a couple of jobs. And it made me a decent little income, not a fortune, but enough to sustain a nice little bachelor lifestyle. And then all of a sudden, VO changed into this DIY beast that it is now. And because of the fact that I jumped in early, all of it, I was consumed by the level of opportunity that's out there. But I also realized very quickly how much I'd been leaving on the table for so many years. And I wish I had known, through the first 10 years of my career, what I have learned over the past 15 years of my career. And like I said, if I had, I probably wouldn't be doing a podcast right now. I'd probably be just sipping martinis on a beach in Bora Bora. So,
Well, you're welcome to sip a martini, and you are in Luxembourg, so
there you
I
go.
mean
Yes,
that's not terrible.
it could be worse.
Yes. So, what would you say those things are that you should do? The DIY.
Really just treat it like a business. I think there's, probably fewer talent today who are still stuck in kind of the old fashioned somebody's going to do it for me mindset, but
Uh huh.
there is still some of that out there. And I think that if you rely strictly on other people to find you work, that you're probably not going to have the experience that you hope for in this industry. And 20, 25 years ago, you could do that, because that's how the business worked back then. Today, it's not. And, 90% of the work I think people are finding these days, really is self-generated through a variety of different sources. So, go out, build your business, build your website, make sure your SEO is on point, make sure your marketing game is on point. If you use online casting, make sure you use the right ones the right way, and track your
Hmm.
metrics. I think one of the things I do that I always preach to talent is, I'm like these sabermetric guys with baseball, where I track every detail of my metrics, from auditions submitted to where they're being submitted to where I'm booking to what kind of work I'm booking to which clients are trending, and so on and so forth. And over time, I'm able to glean a lot from that analysis that I can then monetize in my marketing strategy, and also figure out what dead weight I need to cut loose if they're clients that are underperforming, or if there are areas where I'm spending too much
Hmm.
time and not seeing a lot of return. So track your numbers. If My phrase is, if you're not tracking, you're slacking.
What do you use to track it?
That's unfortunately that's a question I always hope nobody asks me. I have back when I first started, I developed a system in that's kind of an office based system in Microsoft Office that I
Yeah.
use, just old fashioned Excel and Word and all sorts of different bells and whistles with that. My wife describes it as something that looks like what a bookie would use. So this is
You
a
use like wire hangers, bubble gum,
yeah, yeah,
rubber
yeah,
bands,
and
and dark
Vinny and
magic.
Vinny and Rocco to go and collect. So, but this is a do as I say, not as I do. Get your CRM, get a proper CRM like Nimble or Voiceover View or something like that, and do it the right way. Don't do what JMC does, but make sure you are tracking.
Okay, excellent. And I guess that you've answered the first like 5 questions all by yourself. Just what were you doing before VO? How did you get into VO? How did you succeed so much in VO? I guess we could address a little bit more about how you succeed so much in VO. So there's the business part. Anything else?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously the performance part's a big part of this, and I think the thing is to do whatever you can to develop your skill set as much as possible, to know the areas where you have strengths and areas where you need work, and areas where maybe you're not either called or as competitive for whatever reason. I play in a lot of different genres, but I also know my limits. There are
Uh-huh.
things I don't do. I've never been a big video game or animation guy. It's just never been front and center for me, and it doesn't speak to me the way it speaks to some people. So
Right.
it's never been an area that I've chased. It's not an area that I hold myself out as an expert in. Even my demo production branch, we have a team that does the animation and video game demos under my supervision, but they've got a lot of autonomy because it's not my area of expertise. I don't play with audiobooks. For me, it's an awful lot of work for not a whole lot of money, and I've got nothing but respect for the people who do that work, because they typically have more talent in their pinky fingers than I have my whole body.
Hmm.
But nevertheless, it's just not an area that's ever spoken to me. So, find what you're good at, find what you really excel in, and that you're a little bit better, I think, hopefully, than the average bear at, and go after it. And I think that, for me, confidence, not arrogance. Okay, there's a difference.
Oh yeah.
but confidence in your ability. I always say that there are two kind of talent in the industry. There the talent who struggle, or the talent who go up to the mic and go, I hope this goes well. And the talent who do really well, are the talent who go up to the mic and go, wait till they see what I can do.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And if you have that level of confidence, if you have that level of belief in yourself, which comes from, trial and error and failure and making mistakes, and hopefully training with good people who know what they're doing and will guide you down the right path, you can step up and make confident decisions and believe in what you're doing. And it also streamlines the process for you a little bit. I mean, in 2021, don't let
Mhm.
anybody tell you that this isn't a numbers game, that this isn't about volume. Okay. At the end of the day, the people who are booking are people who are putting in lots of auditions, whether that's through their agents, whether it's through online casting, whether it's through marketing, whatever it may be. It's people who are getting their voice out there in front of as many buyers as possible. And there are a lot of us who preach 20 touches per day, whatever touch that may be, whether it's sending your demo to a marketing prospect or actually doing auditions. But if you're not doing 20 a day, it's going to be very hard to make a living in this business. And the people who are really killing it are the people who are doing 40, 50, 60 touches a day,
Mhm.
and then garnering as much work as they can from that. So you got to hustle. You got to get out there. But if you're confident in what you do, you can then, especially with auditions, you can make quick decisions, smart decisions. Take a look at the copy, analyze it, break it down, understand who your character is, try and find that acting scenario, those actors' questions of who you're talking to and what the situation is. But being able to do that in your mind in 30 seconds and not
Mhm.
5 minutes,
Mhm.
and also making sure you're a good editor, understanding how to use your software, understanding how to edit like a pro, so that your whole process, if it's a pay to play audition for $400, 5 minutes max. Okay.
Mhm.
If it's an agency audition for $40,000, okay, fine. If you want to sit there for a half an hour and make sure it's utterly flawless, that's fine. But make sure that you've got a process that's efficient so you can get heard by as many people as possible, because that's how you make money.
Mhm. And I'm totally blanking. I'm gonna have to edit this part out. So other suggestions for new voice actors?
For new voice actors, I'll give a couple of steps here. First and foremost, if you are dead on brand new, if you've never done this before and you don't, even if you have acting experience or broadcast experience, but you've never actually done VO, first thing I tell new actors to do is get a talent evaluation from somebody who knows what they're talking about. Okay, and is it ironclad that if it's no, that this isn't for you, that you just have to take that to the bank and go away? Not necessarily. You can seek a second opinion, but a talent evaluation is meant to save you from throwing good money after bad. Okay,
Mhm.
in the voiceover business, just like in a lot of entertainment industries, there are people out there who are going to sell you a dream no matter what level of ability you have. They're going to say, hey, you can make $1 million doing this. Just give me your credit card number and I'll tell you how. Okay. You don't want to be that person who falls. I get 5 or 10 people a year who come to me, and it's very sad. I will listen, they'll send me demos and they'll say, hey, I've had this coaching and I've, done these demos, and, it's usually with one of those demo mills or coaching mills that you hear about out there. And hey, I'm not booking anything. So will you work with me? And can you help me? And I listened to their stuff and I realized that if everyone in the world got some kind of hybrid Ebola COVID monster horrible thing, that person still wouldn't book any work, because somebody's been feeding them a dream. They've been taking advantage of them and telling them they have ability when they don't. And these are people who sometimes are out of pocket 10, 20, $30,000 and haven't made anything back. You don't want to
Mhm.
be that person. Okay. So get a talent eval from a coach or a casting director, an agent, or somebody who knows what they're talking about. And a talent eval should be around an hour, working through a whole bunch of different copy, and then candid feedback. When I do talent evals with people, 40% of the time I will very gently tell you not to quit your day job. Okay. Another 40%, I still won't take you on as a coaching student. I will refer you to Gravy for the Brain or VO Peeps or GVAA or something like that to go get some basic training for 30 or $40 a month until you're ready to work with a high-end one-on-one coach. And it's maybe 1 or 2 out of 10 people that I listen to in a talent eval where I say you're even ready to go into coaching, much less spend money on some kind of package with demos and everything else. So please get that. Whoever you, I don't care if you get it from me or from somebody else, please get a talent eval before you spend any money on this. And if you get a positive result, if somebody reputable, who by the way, the internet never forgets. Okay, so first thing you want to do when you want to look up a coach or a demo producer, type in their name and type in scam or fraud or ripoff, okay, and see what comes up. If you can't find
J.
anything,
Michael Collins scam.
fraud, scam, ripoff, absolutely, you get 5 pages. But if you can't find anything, you're usually in pretty good shape,
Yeah.
okay. But also get word of mouth. If a coach can't give you 5 names minimum that can attribute at least some portion of a successful VO career to working with that coach, you need to look somewhere else. And also, if the coach can't give you 1 or 2 names that they have refused to work with,
Mhm.
okay, you probably also ought to look somewhere else. Do your research, okay. But when you find that person, if you get a positive eval, if they're willing to take you on, or if you find a coach who is, and that's someone that you can validate is going to do right by you, then do the coaching, okay. Take your time, listen to what they say. Don't do the demos before you're ready. Worst thing you can do is do a demo when you're not ready and make a bad first impression.
Mhm.
And by the way, I'm not one of these people who believes that you shouldn't do a demo until you can drop it on Atlas's doorstep, okay. You
Mhm.
don't have to be there, but an ethical demo producer will not do a demo for you until you are, in their opinion, very likely to see a return on that investment, whether that means getting a smaller market agent or just being ready to go out and book on your own or through pay to play, whatever it might be. There are different levels of talent. There's different levels of being ready to go out and participate in the industry. But someone who's doing this the right way and is being ethical is not going to let you spend that money until they're fairly sure that you're going to see a return on that investment. You shouldn't be in the red at the end of that.
Mhm. Great. And what is that? You said an hour's worth of time generally?
For an eval, yeah, typically about an hour. I mean, so it depends on the talent. I have people, I come in for an eval in 20 minutes. I'm like, wow. Or in 20 minutes, I'm like, and if it's 10 or 20 minutes, and I might just give them their money back because it's not, if it's not for you, it's not for you. And if it's that bad, but whoever you do that with, get it done and just be sure, because you don't want to be that person who's racked up 20 grand in credit card debt and is not seeing any return on that investment.
What's involved in a talent evaluation? Do you have people read copy? Do you have see if they can follow direction? Um,
It's mostly copy reading through a wide variety of different genres, and then some redirecting to see what they do and how they pivot, and trying to get a sense of, it's kind of stages. If you get somebody who immediately, first few reads you go, oh, okay, wait, they've got a little something, that often can get more involved, where you start then exploring their range a little bit more and really kind of delving into how deep their potential goes. If you've got somebody a few takes in and you realize this is maybe not going down the road of a successful outcome, that can look a little bit different. But generally speaking, it's a
mhm.
session in a blender with relatively minimal direction. What I want to hear in an eval is what you do naturally, where your brain goes when you see copy, and what your instincts are. I compare it to being a football player. Okay,
Uh,
you can take an elite coach, you can take the best football coach in the world, and give him a mediocre quarterback, and they can make a mediocre quarterback decent, a decent one good, a good one great, and a great one a champion, right? But the
right.
guy's got to be able to spin the laces a little bit. If he can't do that, it doesn't matter if you put him with Bill Belichick, he's not going to be able to be a quarterback, right?
Right.
So you have to have. I think, by the way, one of the traps you don't want to fall into. I think one of the dirty little secrets of the coaching industry and voiceover is what I call the perpetual student.
Uh,
And you see these people, and God bless them. Some of them are wonderful people, but you see them at every conference and every webinar, and in every community event, and that's great that they're out there in the community. But people who are nibbling on the edges, people who are probably in the red, who may book every now and then, but have probably spent more on coaching and training over a period of years than they have booked. Here's the dirty little secret in this business, and that is that if you don't have a fair amount of inherent ability, if this isn't fundamentally relatively easy for you, chances are it's not going to wind up being a living. This is like being a singer. It's like being a professional athlete. It's like being a stage actor. There has to be a spark there, and you can only train so much. If you've been investing heavily in coaching and training and learning for 3 years in voiceover, and you're still not getting anywhere, you need to really stop and think about whether or not throwing good money after bad is a good idea going forward, because most of the people who are going to see results see it within I mean, it's not going to happen in weeks, but a year, 18 months, you should start to be seeing some traction if you're training with the right people. If you're not, you need to ask yourself why.
okay. So a year to 18 months is a good thing. All right. I'm okay. Um, That's actually good advice, and that's the first time I've heard this on the show. So that's definitely good. And what do you charge for that? Is that
For a talent eval, I charge $200.
$200? All right. And any more suggestions for new voice actors or starting voice actors?
I mean, I think that's a pretty good place to be, and do your research. I can't emphasize that enough.
Yeah.
And also if you're building a home studio, remember that your
Hmm.
acoustical environment is
Yeah.
more important than your gear. Okay,
Yes.
you can take a $300 microphone and put it in a really nice room, and it's going to sound better than a $5,000 microphone in a shitty room. Okay,
Yeah.
so make sure you invest in the right things. And if you're not tech savvy, if you don't know, if you're not acoustically savvy, if you don't understand home studio tech, that's fine. There are great people out there that you can consult with, and I'm sure you
Yeah.
probably had some of them on your show.
Yeah. I haven't had them on my show, but I have consulted with them, and I actually consulted with Frank Verderosa up in New York to help me put my studio together. I have a rather large room here, so we require a
Right.
lot of treatment, and it's got a nice sound to it. It's dead. It doesn't echo, 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 echo. You know, I don't have any clouds. I don't seem to need them, but
Right.
I have foam here, and I have automute sheets on the other side.
Right.
So this is like the concrete side, and that's the wood side,
Right.
and it seems to work okay.
Very good. Very good. See, then
But yeah,
that's
I
the
would never
that's
have
the
tried
smart
to
way
do
to
this
do it.
yeah, I would never try to do this myself, and I recommend anybody consult with an audio engineer.
Absolutely.
It's not that much. I think it was $150, and it was money well spent because you can easily spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on stuff that you don't need and not have a good sound.
Hmm. And yeah, I mean, save yourself. It's like anything else. I mean, if you hire a plumber, you're not gonna, number one, hopefully you're not gonna do it yourself if you don't have any training, right? Because
Right.
you wind up breaking something and spending more. You're gonna hire a pro, and you only have to hire a pro once, right?
Exactly. Oh, I like that. Nice. You want to do some copy reading?
Sure. Let me pull. I know you sent this over. Let me pull it over here.
And talk about your process and looking at the script and talk about what you're thinking about. And oh, I've got some Coke here too. Cheers.
There you go. I will point out, by the way, that no caffeine, zero sugar. I'm
Me
behaving.
too. Yep.
Um, so you sent me a piece of copy for Lyft.
Yeah.
Um, this looks pretty chill and conversational. Kind of where the market is very much right now. Not trying too hard, being real. It's where I think this brand would go. And looking at the copy, that's also where I think that this should be if it was coming in with direction from an agent or from anyone else casting. So that's where my brain goes with this. I mean, if I'm doing a character, let's see, it says we're. Um, I mean, to me, this is a guy who works at IT and works at IT at Lyft, and is just talking to his buddy who's like, "Man, I go to Uber. Why should I be using Lyft instead?" And he's about to tell him. That's where I would go with this.
All right.
So here's what I think they should sound like. And okay, I'll show a couple technique things. I'll do a little lead in.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes I do them in my head, sometimes I do them out loud, but when I'm coaching, I'm always teaching lead in. So I think it's a great technique. So I'll do one. And one of my favorites is just a single word to get you a bit more casual. So I'm gonna do something like this. Hey, Lyft is a lot more than just a car ride. Yeah, you heard me right. Shared bikes. Let's see, I screw up too, right? Shared rides, bikes, scooters, fancy cars, public transit, and more. And they're all available with your Lyft app. We're always happy to pick you up, but we can help you get there more ways than you thought. Download the Lyft app today and get going. So I'm just going for chill, casual, and not trying too hard. You guys can see how I'm kind of still, my hands are going, my eyes
Yeah.
are kind of getting big, and I'm moving around. I'm trying to stay engaged, and I'm running some words together. I'm not trying to over articulate. I'm making my own choices with punctuation. I'm getting in there and trying to live in this script a little bit and make it mine. It's a casual spot for a casual brand that so I'm a little quicker maybe than I would be if it were like Mercedes spot or something like that. And just what I find casting directors are going for today more than anything else is effortless. It's stream of consciousness. It's just getting in there and sounding like a real person, not trying too hard. And again, if it's conversational, it's one thing if you're doing Gucci or something like that, but it's if it's conversational, they just want to hear a real person just rolling and not overthinking it. And so that's probably where I'd go on a just kind of cold read take.
You want to read it like you would for Cadillac?
Sure, I'll give you the Cadillac. Let me pull it back up here real quick. Let me get my nose in the air a little bit. Lyft is a lot more than just a car ride. Yeah, you heard me right. Shared rides, bikes, scooters, fancy cars, public transit, and more. I'm almost going ironic announcer guy here. And they're all available with your Lyft app. We're always happy to pick you up, but we can help you get there. But we can help you get there more ways than you thought. Download the Lyft app today and get going.
That is kind of ironic announcer guy.
Right?
What's like the snootiest, breathiest kind of, brand voice that you can think of?
Oh Lord. I mean, that actually does TV ads. Like maybe a high end watch, like a Rolex or something like that, or
Okay.
Cartier or something like that.
How would you do that?
Lyft is a lot more than just a car ride. Yeah, you heard me right. Get into our cars. We promise. Wear a mask and you won't get the Rona. Everything's going to be just fine.
Nice. That was beautiful.
Sanitizer.
What's that?
So we've got hand sanitizer.
That's right.
Um,
It used to be when I would take Lyft back in the days that you could actually do anything and not die. Um, I would actually I was shocked. One guy had like snacks in the back of his car, and I was like, "That is really clever." Just like
I'll
have
tell you
little
the
snacks, have little
coolest one I ever saw like that in Paris, France, a couple
yeah.
years ago. And okay, I'm that guy. I'm an Uber guy, and I'm that guy who does use the black cars with Uber. Okay,
Uh-huh.
so I call the Uber Black or Lux or whatever they call it in Paris. Guy pulls up. It's like a BMW 7, right? So nice car. I get in. Not only does this guy have newspapers, snacks, water, there's a mini bottle of champagne in the door. And it's
Nice.
just like, he's like, whatever you want, go for it, and I'll tell you what the price is. And I'm like, the champagne wasn't free, but it was,
Uh, yeah.
but it was like, okay, so that
Had
guy's
someone
trying,
massaging your
right?
feet, right? Do a little foot
Yeah,
massage,
he's trying,
jacuzzi in the back.
right?
Yeah. Wow. That is good. No, this was just like a regular thing. Yeah, just like some candy and some bottled water. It was all free, but it was just to get
Right.
good reviews. And I thought
Smart.
that's clever, that's
Yep.
very, very clever. So any audition suggestions for newbies for auditions?
Yeah, number one, if you have two takes that are reasonably different from each other, two good interpretations, do it unless you're told not to. Sometimes the first approach that you take won't be the right approach, but the buyer or the casting director will hear it and will recognize ability. It may not be what they're looking for, and if they know you've got two takes, they're going to sit there and see what you've got on take two. One of the best jobs I booked all of last year. Some of you guys may have seen that Boost Mobile TV commercial with the African American family fighting over a phone in their living room. It was on running in the summer for a few months,
Okay.
and we actually got nominated for Voice Arts Award for Best Commercial for it. Didn't win, but in any case, cool spot, national TV spot, and it was a B take. And the spec came from my Chicago agent. The spec was chill, down to earth, real conversational, and so that's what I did on the first take. But I looked at the copy and I said, well, this could be ironic announcer guy, so I'm going to give them that guy. And my God, if that isn't what they actually went with for the final, and it wound up being a small campaign for Boost, a few different spots.
Huh.
And it was just a dart. It was really kind of like, this is where I could see it going. It's my B take. I'm gonna take a shot, and it booked me a national campaign. So, don't
Nice.
be afraid to take chances. Usually, the B take is your opportunity to take that chance. But give them something different. When I hire, I sit on the casting side occasionally for my own clients, and when I hire, the biggest thing I can say is I love two takes, but don't give me vanilla and vanilla with sprinkles, because then you're wasting my time. If you're gonna give me
Right.
two takes, give me vanilla and mango. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. Well, mango, vanilla, and coconut even,
Yeah,
just not
lobster.
vanilla. What did you say?
Lobster, vanilla and
Vanilla and
lobster.
lobster ice cream. Exactly.
That's right.
Yeah, it's like a twist.
It could be a thing, right?
Yeah. So sometimes on auditions, if I'm feeling particularly punchy, I'll do two. And then sometimes if something is just really speaking to me, like the other day, there was one for um Jojo the llama, right? So so I did one take, I did a
Now
different take,
I'm pissed that I didn't get that one.
and then and then I sang, the Beatles song JoJo, right?
Right?
And it's like Jojo was a man who thought he was a llama, but he stopped in eating. And I just did this on my third take just for giggles, and
Yep.
started cracking up, and I sent it in, and hopefully at least they got a good laugh at it if they don't hire me.
Well, a little ad lib here or there, especially again, second take is often a good place for it. But if you're really feeling frisky, be careful
Yeah.
because it could cause problems. But if you're really feeling frisky, sometimes it'll work on the first take. I booked series of credit union commercials this past year. That the audition for the first one was something to the effect of the spot was, so you might have did some dumb stuff during lockdown, like fill your living room with toilet paper or let your cat run that Zoom call. And it kind of went through this list, right? And so I went on the script. Yeah, fill your living room with toilet paper or let your cat run that Zoom call. Yeah, your ass is fired. And then I just kept going through the list, right? And they hired me. And when they hired me, the guy comes and he says, well, we're not going to use ass on the air. He said, but we actually want to put that line in there, just make it, yeah, your butt's fired. And that actually got into the final. But it's the reason I booked the job is because I threw that at him. He said, yeah, that's all laughing.
Nice.
So pick your moments. When you start going up for like big league agency stuff, the thing there is you want to try and know who you're auditioning for if you're going to do that.
Yeah.
You can start to recognize the patterns and the phrases that some casting directors use and the way the copy looks from certain casting directors. So there's some where I would absolutely, I'll drop an F-bomb on some of them, right? And then there are others where I'm just reading the copy because I know they're just not going to go for that. So
Yeah.
make sure you know who you're auditioning for if you're going to take those kinds of chances. But it can.
This was just on a pay to play thing.
Right. And pay to play can be fun to experiment with that and
Yeah.
to roll the dice where you might not on a bigger job.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm actually just finished my commercial demo and just recorded my animation demo. So I'm
Very
going to
cool.
start doing some DIY marketing and, you know, maybe I'll send it to you and have you tell me that I shouldn't have wasted my money.
Nah, always happy to give feedback. I won't throw any other producers under the bus.
All right. Thank you. Um, Good. So any more audition suggestions?
Numbers, man. Again, I go back to what I said earlier. Volume matters with auditions. So more people who hear you, the more you. We all the stuff with branding and your website and everything. It's all important. It matters. Okay, but at the end of the day, the most important thing in VO is putting ears on your voice. Okay,
Okay.
so the more auditions that you do, the better. Other in terms of performance suggestions, just really do your best to understand the direction and the copy, and then trust your gut and and trust your training, and give the read that you believe in. And I honestly, I know it sounds crazy to a lot of people out there, but what I did on that lift spot, it's my analysis process. I'm looking at it. Okay, this is casual. I don't have any direction. Okay, but it's casual. It's conversational. It's lift. I see the way the script is written. Now go. And usually, what I go with now go I like, and I'm going to go with it. Every now and then I'll screw it up and I'll retake it. But trust your gut. I think that if there's one really important piece of advice I can give talent in the business, new or established,
Hmm.
it's that the biggest danger I think a lot of talent fall into in voiceover is paralysis by analysis,
Hmm.
overthinking. Okay, this is a highly subjective, creative business. It is not a science, and there is no formula. It's all an educated guess. Okay, and that education comes with whatever training and experience you have, but it's an educated guess. And once you've had the training and experience,
Hmm.
trust your gut, go with it, and try not to second guess yourself. Most of the time you're going to be right.
Excellent. All right. Sit or stand?
I'm fat, so I sit. I honestly don't think there's a right or wrong answer to that question. Whatever is physically comfortable for you and helps you get the best sound.
Okay. Very good. Self-promotion time. Let's hit it again. Um,
Sure.
JMC.
jmcvoiceover.com to hear the voiceovers, and jmcdemos.com if you're interested in demo production, and there's info on coaching and all that good stuff on there. Just be aware, for coaching or demo production, usually about a month wait to get in the door, but I'm always happy to have a listen and see if we're a good fit to work with. And I'll give you one other thing, non self-promotion-y, but just
Mhm.
last good piece of advice. There is a article on my blog where I talk about why I am not the right coach or demo producer for you. Before you decide to work with me or anybody else, I suggest you go read that article, because it will give you an idea of the approaches that different coaches and producers take. Not every personality is the right fit for every coach and every producer. Make sure you line up with somebody who gets you and who communicates the way you communicate to get the best
Mhm.
results.
Mhm. Excellent. I will definitely read that. Well, thank you so much, J. Michael.
My pleasure,
Appreciate
Ian.
your
Thanks for
time.
having me.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And yeah, have a great rest of the week. Have a happy 2021,
You too, sir. Stay safe. Go out there and book.
and get some more awards, will you?
I'll try.
You've been listening to Voiceover. How did you do it? At www.voiceoverpodcast.com with me, Ian Kleinfeld. You can watch the video to all our podcasts at voiceoverpodcast.com/YouTube. The background track is 1959 by my alter ego Max Rocket, and you can find that and other songs at www.maxrocketmusic.com. Remember to like, subscribe, write a review, and all that good stuff on whatever podcast streaming service you're listening to, and I'll see you next week. Thanks for listening.